right, let's get ready to decode some serious tech speak.
Yeah.
You've sent over a list of phrasal verbs from day 10 everyday phrasal verbs.
Right.
So clearly you are on a language learning mission, which I fully support.
Absolutely.
But today we're going beyond simple definitions.
Yeah.
We're going to deep dive into the nuances of how these tech terms are actually used so you can not only sound like a pro,
Right.
but actually be one when navigating the digital world.
What's fascinating about these seemingly simple phrasal verbs
Right.
is that they often mask surprisingly complex processes.
I can imagine.
Just think about how much happens when you boot up your computer.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just flipping a switch. It's a carefully choreographed sequence of events that brings your entire digital world to life.
Okay, so let's start there
Yeah.
with the verbs that get our devices up and running.
Oop.
Or power them down for the night.
Exactly.
You've got boot up, shut down, and power down.
Right.
For the average user, those might seem pretty interchangeable, but I bet there's some key distinctions, right?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. Boot up is like waking your computer from a deep sleep.
Okay.
It involves loading the entire operating system,
Yeah.
all the essential programs,
Right.
and getting everything ready to go. Power up, on the other hand, is a bit more general.
Okay.
It could refer to turning on a device that was completely off,
Uh-huh.
but it could also apply to something as simple as waking your phone from sleep mode.
Interesting. So boot up is the more technically precise term for that full startup sequence.
Exactly.
And this distinction actually matters,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're troubleshooting technical issues. Knowing the difference could help you explain the problem more clearly to tech support.
Precisely. The more precise your language,
Yeah.
the better equipped you are to communicate effectively in the tech world. Now let's talk about the flip side, shutting things down. Shutdown usually involves a series of steps to safely close down all programs and processes before the device completely powers off. This ensures that your data is protected
Right.
and minimizes the risk of corruption.
So shutdown is like the responsible way to turn things off.
Yeah,
Like tucking your computer in for the night.
exactly.
But what about power down? Is that more like just hitting the off switch?
In a way, yes, power down can be more abrupt,
Okay.
sometimes even necessary if a device freezes.
Right.
But with more complex systems, like servers,
Yeah.
a sudden power down can have serious consequences,
Oh, wow.
potentially leading to data loss or even system damage. It's a bit like pulling the plug on a delicate experiment.
Right.
Sometimes you have no choice.
Yeah.
But it's not ideal.
Got it. So shutdown is the preferred method.
Yes.
A graceful exit that ensures everything is properly closed.
Right.
Power down is more like a last resort.
Exactly.
A necessary evil when things go wrong.
Precisely. And speaking of navigating the digital world,
Yeah.
let's move on to those verbs that get us into our online accounts and services. Log in, sign up, log out, and sign out.
Okay.
These terms are often used interchangeably,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some subtle distinctions that can actually make a big difference, especially when it comes to security.
I'm sure you've got a fascinating explanation for this one, because I know I've definitely used those terms interchangeably without really thinking about it. What's the difference between, for example, logging in and signing in?
While both get you access, log in often implies a higher level of security. Think about logging into your bank account or a work network.
Right.
You're entering a protected system with confidential information.
Right.
Sign in, on the other hand,
Right.
might be as simple as signing a guest book at an event or adding your name to a list.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily imply the same level of security.
So if a website asks you to log in to do something very casual,
Exactly.
that might be a red flag.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a phishing attempt trying to trick you into giving away your credentials.
Precisely. Understanding this subtle difference can help you stay vigilant online.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to sign up,
Okay.
that's all about creating a new account or registering for a service, like joining a social media platform or subscribing to a newsletter.
Right.
You're essentially putting your name on the list to gain access to their features and content.
Makes sense. So sign up to get in,
Yeah,
then log in to actually access your account and get started.
exactly.
When you're done, you'd either log out or sign out, right?
Right.
But are those two also different?
They are very similar,
Okay.
both referring to the act of leaving a system or service.
Uh-huh.
However, log out, particularly from those secure systems we talked about,
Right.
often signifies a deliberate action to end your session and protect your data. You're actively closing the door and ensuring no one else can access your information.
So logging out of your online banking after transferring funds is a must. And sign out would be more like leaving a shared computer at a library,
Right.
where the security implications aren't as high.
Precisely. Now that we've explored the ins and outs of accessing our digital domains,
Yeah.
let's dive into the world of data management.
Cool.
This is where things can get a bit more intense.
I have a feeling this is where terms like backup and wipeout come into play.
Exactly.
And I think we can all relate to the anxiety of losing important files.
Yes.
Or the fear of accidentally deleting something crucial.
Absolutely. That's why understanding these verbs is so important.
Right.
Backing up your data is like creating a digital safety net.
Okay.
You're making copies of your important files and storing them in a separate location.
Right.
Whether it's an external hard drive, a cloud service, or even just a different folder on your computer.
So if disaster strikes,
Yeah.
your computer crashes, you spill coffee on your laptop, or you just have a moment of delete button madness,
Exactly.
you have that backup to restore your files and breathe a sigh of relief.
It's like an insurance policy for your digital life.
Absolutely.
Now, wipeout is a more drastic measure. It means to completely erase data from a device or storage medium,
Right.
leaving no trace behind.
That sounds a bit terrifying. When would you actually need to wipe out your data?
It's often used when you're selling or discarding a device,
Right.
ensuring none of your personal information remains accessible.
Okay.
Think of it like digitally shredding your files.
I see.
But be warned, once you wipe out data,
Yeah.
it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to recover. So always double check before you hit that button.
Yikes. That's good advice. So back up to protect yourself.
Yes.
And wipe out only when absolutely necessary.
Exactly.
Now we've also got key in on our list,
Right.
which I always associate with spy movies and hackers typing furiously on their keyboards.
Yeah. That's a vivid image. While key-in can certainly apply to dramatic scenarios like cracking codes, in everyday use, it simply refers to entering information using a keyboard.
Okay.
Whether you're typing an email, filling out an online form, or, yes, even trying to hack into a top-secret mainframe,
Right.
keying in is the action that gets those digital characters onto the screen.
So it's a more specific way of saying type.
Yeah.
It highlights the physical action of pressing those keys to input information. But with the rise of voice assistants and touchscreens,
Yeah.
is keying in becoming a phrase of the past?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
While input methods are evolving, I think keying in will likely stick around, at least for those tasks where precision and security are paramount.
Okay.
Passwords, for example, are still largely entered via keyboard for security reasons.
So keying in might become less frequent, but it's not going away entirely.
Right.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in part 1 of our deep dive,
We have.
powering devices on and off,
Yeah.
navigating the world of online accounts, and even taking control of our data. But I have a feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to tech terminology.
I think so.
What awaits us in part 2.
Next, we'll explore verbs related to connectivity and signals.
Okay.
Those words that describe how our devices interact with the world around them.
Right.
We'll be talking about being cut off, picking up signals,
Okay.
and hooking up devices.
Sounds like we're about to get even deeper into the language of our connected world. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back for part 2 of our Tech Talk Deep Dive. Welcome back to our Tech Talk Deep Dive. In part 1, we tackled some pretty fundamental verbs.
Yeah.
The ones we use to describe powering devices on and off,
Right.
accessing our accounts, and managing our precious data.
Yes.
But now let's shift gears and explore those verbs that define our connected world. Because let's face it, in today's digital landscape,
Yeah.
connectivity is everything.
What's intriguing about these connectivity verbs is that they often reflect our own emotional responses to the technology we use.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the frustration of being cut off from a call,
Oh, for sure.
or the relief of picking up a strong Wi-Fi signal.
Yes.
These seemingly simple phrases actually tap into our deep-seated need for connection and communication.
That's such a great point. We've all experienced those moments of digital isolation.
Right.
Like when you're in the middle of an important video call and suddenly silence.
Yeah.
Or when you're trying to send an urgent email and the dreaded no internet connection message pops up.
Yeah.
Talk about a tech-induced panic attack.
Exactly. Cut off perfectly captures that abrupt severing of connection,
Right.
that sudden loss of access to the digital world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that our reliance on technology comes with a certain vulnerability,
I see.
a dependence on signals and networks that are sometimes beyond our control.
And it's not just phone calls and internet connections,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can also be cut off from power,
Yeah.
which is equally disruptive, if not more so.
Absolutely.
Imagine working on a crucial project and suddenly blackout.
Absolutely. Cutoff has a broad range of applications,
Okay.
but it always signifies a loss of something essential,
Right.
a disruption to the flow of information or energy that we rely on to function in the digital age.
But thankfully, there's also the flip side.
Yeah.
The joy of reestablishing that connection.
Right.
Of picking up a signal again.
Exactly.
It's like finding an oasis in the digital desert.
Yes.
Beacon of hope
Yeah.
that our digital lifeline is still intact.
Pickup is all about sensing and receiving those digital signals that connect us to the wider world.
Right.
It's that moment when your phone finally finds a signal in a remote area,
Uh-huh.
or your Wi-Fi router reconnects after a brief outage.
It's like tuning into the right frequency.
Yeah,
Finding that sweet spot where communication can flow freely again.
exactly.
And it's not just about receiving signals, right?
Right.
We also hook up devices to establish connections.
Exactly. Hookup has a broader meaning than pickup. It refers to the physical act of connecting devices, whether it's plugging in a cable,
Right.
pairing them wirelessly,
Yeah.
or even just establishing a network connection.
Yep.
It's about creating those pathways for data to flow,
Uh-huh.
linking our devices together in a seamless web of communication.
So I might hook up my laptop to a projector for a presentation,
Yeah.
or hook up my phone to my car's Bluetooth system to stream music.
Right.
It's all about building those bridges between devices,
Exactly.
allowing them to talk to each other and share information.
Precisely. And these connections are becoming increasingly sophisticated as technology advances.
I can imagine.
We're moving beyond simple point-to-point connections
Right.
to create entire ecosystems of interconnected devices, the
Right.
so-called Internet of Things,
Right.
where everything from our refrigerators to our cars can communicate with each other.
Wow, that's mind-blowing.
Right.
We're not just hooking up individual devices anymore.
Yeah.
We're building entire digital networks that seamlessly integrate into our lives.
Yeah,
It's a far cry from the days of dial-up modems and tangled phone cords.
indeed. And as our devices become more interconnected,
Yeah.
the verbs we use to describe these connections will continue to evolve and adapt.
Right.
We're already seeing new terms emerge, like syncing and pairing, which reflect the increasing complexity and fluidity of our digital relationships.
So we've covered those verbs that connect us to the wider digital world.
We have.
But what about those actions that let us navigate what we see on our screens?
Right.
I'm talking about the familiar moves of scrolling up, scrolling down, zooming in, and zooming out.
Yes.
These actions have become so ingrained in our digital habits that we probably don't even think about them consciously anymore.
That's right. These verbs represent our fundamental ways of interacting with digital content.
Right.
Scrolling up, scrolling down are like navigating a digital timeline.
Okay.
Scrolling up takes us back in time,
Huh.
revisiting previous content.
Wow. Scrolling down propels us forward,
Yeah.
revealing new information and endless possibilities.
It's funny how those simple actions have become metaphors for how we experience time and information in the digital age.
Absolutely.
We scroll through our social media feeds, our news articles, our online shopping sites,
Right.
constantly moving through a stream of data and imagery.
Exactly. And zooming in and zooming out allow us to adjust our focus and perspective within that digital landscape.
Okay.
Zooming in is all about getting a closer look,
Right.
magnifying details that might otherwise be missed.
It's like using a digital magnifying glass,
Yeah?
allowing us to examine a high-resolution photo,
Right.
study the intricate details of a map, or simply enlarge text to make it easier to read.
Exactly.
It's about seeking clarity,
Yeah.
focusing our attention on the specific elements that pique our interest.
And zooming out provides the opposite perspective,
Okay.
pulling back to reveal the bigger picture.
So instead of getting lost in the details,
We step back to see how individual elements fit into a larger context.
exactly.
You might zoom out on a map to see the surrounding areas,
Yeah.
or zoom out on a website to get a sense of its overall structure and layout.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance between detailed analysis and broad understanding, between focusing on the trees and appreciating the forest as a whole.
Wow, this is fascinating. I never thought about those simple screen actions in such a metaphorical way.
It's interesting, right?
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're constantly adjusting our focus, our perspective,
Right.
our relationship to information in the digital world.
That's the beauty of language.
Yeah.
It reflects not only our physical actions,
Right.
but also our cognitive processes,
I see.
our ways of thinking and making sense of the world around us.
Okay, so we've explored those verbs that connect us to the wider digital world
Right.
and those that let us navigate the content on our screens.
Yeah.
But what about those inevitable moments when things don't go quite as planned?
Ah, yes. We can't forget about those dreaded verbs that describe device issues.
Oh, no.
Break down and run out.
Right.
These are the phrases that evoke feelings of frustration,
Yeah.
panic, and perhaps even a touch of despair.
It's like those moments in a horror movie when the lights flicker and then go out,
Right?
leaving you in darkness and wondering what's coming next.
Yeah.
Except in this case, it's our digital world that's suddenly gone dark.
A very apt analogy, breakdown, is that dreaded moment when a device stops functioning properly.
Right.
Whether it's a sudden malfunction,
Uh-huh.
a gradual decline in performance,
Mhm.
or just a minor glitch that's driving you crazy.
Oh, I know those.
It's the digital equivalent of your car sputtering and coughing its last breath,
Yeah.
leaving you stranded on the side of the information highway.
And it always seems to happen at the worst possible moment. Right.
Of course, yeah.
Like when you're about to give an important presentation.
Yeah.
Or you're in the middle of a crucial task with a deadline looming.
Murphy's Law of Technology, indeed.
Right.
But while breakdown refers to a malfunction of the device itself,
Okay.
run out usually signals a depletion of essential resources.
So we're talking about things like battery life and storage space.
Exactly.
Those finite resources that seem to vanish just when we need them most.
Yes.
It's the digital equivalent of running out of gas or heating your credit card limit.
Exactly. Run out triggers that feeling of scarcity.
Oh, yeah.
That realization that our digital abundance is not limitless.
Right.
And it often leads to some frantic decision-making, suddenly deleting old photos and videos to avoid that dreaded storage full message,
Yeah.
or dimming our screen brightness to squeeze out a few extra minutes of battery life.
It's a humbling experience.
It is.
A reminder that our devices, despite their incredible capability,
Yeah.
are still subject to the laws of physics and the limitations of the material world.
It's a valuable lesson, though.
Right.
One that encourages us to be more mindful of our digital consumption and to appreciate the delicate balance between our digital desires and the physical constraints of our devices.
So we've journeyed through the verbs that connect us,
We have.
those that guide our exploration of digital content,
Yeah.
and those that remind us of the fragility of our tech-dependent world.
Exactly.
I'm starting to realize that these everyday terms are more than just words.
All right.
They're windows into our evolving relationship with technology,
Absolutely.
reflecting our anxieties, aspirations, and even our sense of humor.
That's a brilliant observation. Language is a powerful tool for understanding not only the world around us, but
Right.
also ourselves.
Right.
And as technology continues to shape our lives,
Mm-hmm.
the language we use to describe it will continue to evolve,
Right.
revealing new insights into our digital habits, our emotional responses, and our evolving relationship with the machines that have become such an integral part of our lives.
This has been an incredible journey so far,
It has.
but we're not quite finished yet.
Right?
There's one more intriguing verb on our list, one that seems to have snuck in from a realm not typically associated with technology. All right, we're back for the grand finale of our Tech Talk deep dive. And you've really piqued my curiosity with this last word on our list.
Yeah.
You mentioned it has to do with beauty and aesthetics,
Right.
which honestly feels a bit out of place when we've been talking about bits and bytes
Right.
and, wiping out data.
Yeah.
What's the story here?
I know it seems unexpected,
It does.
but the word is beautiful.
Okay.
And it's increasingly being used to describe not just the physical appearance of devices, but the entire user experience.
Hold on. Beautiful technology.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I appreciate a sleek phone or a well-designed website, but
Right.
isn't beautiful usually reserved for things like art,
Yeah.
nature, or maybe a perfectly crafted cake?
Traditionally, yes.
Yeah.
But think about how much technology has infiltrated our lives.
Oh, for sure.
We're constantly interacting with devices and interfaces. So it's natural that we start to evaluate them on an aesthetic level, too.
Okay.
It's no longer just about functionality, it's about how that functionality is delivered and experienced.
Okay, so it's not just about a device being pretty.
Right.
It's about the whole package.
Yeah.
How it looks, how it feels to use, how intuitive it is, maybe even how it makes you feel.
Exactly. A beautiful piece of technology is one that's not just efficient, but delightful to use.
Okay.
It anticipates your needs.
Right.
It's visually pleasing, and it might even spark a bit of joy when you interact with it.
So something like a fitness tracker that seamlessly integrates with your phone
Yeah.
provides clear and engaging visuals of your progress,
Right.
and even motivates you with personalized messages
Uh-huh.
that could be considered beautiful technology.
Absolutely. It's about going beyond the purely functional and tapping into the emotional and aesthetic aspects of the user experience.
That's interesting. It makes me think about how much emphasis is now placed on design in the tech world.
Exactly.
Minimalist interfaces,
Yeah.
elegant color palettes, intuitive navigation.
Right.
It's almost like tech companies are borrowing from the world of art and design.
They are, and I think it reflects a growing understanding that technology is not just a tool, it's an extension of ourselves.
Yeah.
We want our devices to reflect our values,
Right.
our style,
Yeah.
and our aspirations.
It's almost like technology is becoming a form of self-expression.
It is.
And using the word beautiful acknowledges that emotional connection we have with our devices.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Have I?
Yeah, it's no longer just about cold, hard functionality.
Yeah.
It's about creating experiences that are engaging,
Right.
aesthetically pleasing, and even emotionally resonant.
Wow. What a journey this dump dive has been.
It has been.
We started with simple definitions
Right.
and ended up exploring the philosophy of aesthetics in the digital age,
I feel like I've not only expanded my vocabulary,
but also gained a whole new perspective on how we interact with technology.
it's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
Likewise.
And it's a perfect reminder that language is a powerful tool for understanding not just the world around us,
Right.
but also our own evolving relationship with it.
Absolutely. So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
keep an ear out for those everyday tech terms. And remember, they're not just words. They're clues to understanding the complex and ever-evolving landscape of technology.
Very true.
Who knows? Maybe you'll even start using beautiful to describe your favorite apps and devices.
That would be great.
Until next time, happy decoding.